One. All right, here we go. We are live from Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Yes, we know there is a game happening. North Carolina actually just took the lead 3-1 on Virginia. Tight one, interesting one here. Boston College head coach Mike Gambino joins me. No gravy. He's off doing his ESPN stuff. Big time. He's big timing us. He's big timing us a little bit. And
you needed a live TV show at the ACC tournament to know that he's big time. Come on, dude.
Come on, we know.
We've already known that.
We know. So, all right. So, Coach Gambino is with us, first two-time ACC Baseball Etc. guest.
I'm honored.
And Danny's not been here for either one. Remember, it was Rodney Jones filling in last time.
Speaking of getting big timed, I guess it's okay to get big league by a big leaguer.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You know, almost 200 career saves. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Danny Graves, Miami Hall of Famer, Reds Hall of Famer. No big deal. All right. Well, what do you want to talk about? We're just hanging.
We're just hanging, dude. We're hanging out and making fun of Danny Graves. I mean, what's better than that?
What's better? Nothing better. Jordan Cornette has had a field day doing the same thing over on the ACC inset. I know. But, all right. Well,
it's all of us just jealous of his hair.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It's unbelievable hair. We talked about it on the set yesterday. It's unbelievable.
Mike Rooney referred to him as the best hair in television when he was on the pod with us.
It's on the Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yeah, it may be a reach. You can barely get out of the ACC and say it's the best, right? Because Rhett Lauder at Wake. Okay, right?
Yeah, fair.
I'm trying to think. You got any hair guys?
Not like
on
that.
Your team, not like that.
Not like that.
It's another level.
It's real. It's another level.
It's another level. That's like Carrot Top. You know, Brock Wilkin told us yesterday that off the mound, outside the lines, Rhett Lauder might be the funniest guy on the team. Because I was like, the hair almost doesn't fit because he's stoic, and he was like, no, you got to catch him on an off day. So I asked, I was like, what kind of funny? Is he Carrot Top funny? He's got the hair. He's got a box full of props and things. Let's talk BC. You guys get your win in game one. I think this was largely the case in the series. I saw you guys in Chapel Hill. 9 of your 11 runs came with 2 outs. What is it about this team's ethos that sort of makes them feast on opportunities like that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's Eric Schroeder, one of our pitchers, actually asked me that, or said that to me, I should say, yesterday at our workout. And he was like counting. He's like, Coach, I think we had 6 or 7, and we had that conversation about 2 outs. And I think it does hit a touch on what you just mentioned, the ethos of this ball club. I mean, no matter what it is, and we've used the word respond all year with these guys. Things don't go well, something gets thrown at them, they respond extremely well. A perfect example is that, Nick Wang clears the bases with a double, a 2-out double yesterday. As a team, we pride ourselves on situational hitting and having good at bats. Vince Meany gives us a good at bat with 1 out and the bases loaded, pops the ball up. Now the team has a chance to respond, and Nick Wang responds. And I think that's a credit to the boys, and it's a credit to Tyler Holt. I mean, Tyler's done a great job with these hitters and the position players. Anybody that remembers Tyler as a player, he played with an edge, and these boys are taking that on. And some of those things you mentioned, situational hitting, 2-strike hitting, 2-out hitting, is something that he has talked to these guys about and worked on with them all year. And luckily it paid off on Tuesday.
Yeah. So we've got interesting day today. All 3 games happening, as well as yours tomorrow morning. You guys are the 11 a.m. against Clemson. All 4 are effectively, because of the way pool play has gone, effectively semifinal games.
Yeah.
So this is like sort of the fun pocket of
it's awesome.
4 consecutive games. They all matter. Whereas, Friday afternoon, it could be argued. You got a couple of games that aren't going to matter as much. Not in terms of the tournament and determining a champion.
For sure. The one thing, 2 things about that, and I don't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
I was going to ask you about the format anyway.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
I actually enjoy the format. I do, for a couple of reasons. One, it really rewards the regular season. And when you look at our conference, this conference is so brutal. It's so hard. You're talking about, you know, and we'll come and talk about this in a minute. We'll come back to NC State. I do want to talk about NC State's resume, but you talk about 13 wins and you're, probably in the national tournament. 14 wins, you're solidly in the conversation to host. 15 wins, you host. 16 wins might make you national seed. I mean, you're talking about like those are the steps in each win, right? I think Virginia and Clemson came in at 17 wins, and you're a solid top 8 seeded, top 8 national seed with 17 wins. So I think rewarding that in our tournament is unique as far as some of the Power 5 conferences, and I think it's important, right? Not for nothing, Virginia deserves the right to have to work to do less to get to the weekend. Wake Forest deserves the right, well, they did, to have to do less to get to the weekend. So I love that. That's first. And the second thing, and the ACC tournament is important, and we want to win it. But as a conference, we also want teams to go to Omaha.
Yeah.
Right?
So you want them to be prepared for regional play.
Absolutely. You want to be very careful as a conference that we are preparing our teams for and getting them ready for and not beating them up too much going into a regional, right? Especially this time of year, man. Like, the kids are tired. They're beat up. So the ACC championship is tremendously important. We all want to raise that trophy. Yeah. But there's also another tournament coming. So you got to be careful about that. And the third thing I love about it is it lets all of these guys, and I hope they are. I hope all the teams are. I know our boys are. It lets them experience this event. It's a cool event.
Yeah.
And it's cool watching all these. The baseball is unbelievable. It allows them. Our guys have come to a game every day. Yeah. Every single day. We have a bus, where some of the teams can walk here where we are in a bus, but they're coming back and watching usually one other baseball game every day. So, and I think it's cool for the fans. The fans know when everybody's playing. So, I am a fan, and I know there's a strong argument that it should be some type of a double elimination, whatever. But I think it's a cool format. I do.
Yeah, and I like, too, that no matter who you are in this format, you're guaranteed 2 games. So if you are one of those, a Notre Dame coming into this week, a bubble team, and, in a Notre Dame's case, playing Wake Forest, even a loss is going to improve your RPI probably. So
it protects everybody's RPI. It gives you chances to add RPI. And this idea that some of the games in the tournament don't matter, ask any of the boys, ask any of the coaches. I think this is all, with all due respect to whether it's fans or media saying some of the games don't matter, they all matter. We want to win them all. That's the first. The second thing is, those boys at Notre Dame playing Wake Forest tomorrow night, right? They want to win. They want to win to get to solidify. I think the resume is strong enough. I do believe we're a 10 bid league. They want to win to solidify their resume. They want to win to beat the number 1 team in the country on national television. You look at those boys from Pitt this morning. You saw their reaction after loss. That was not a team. That was a team that wanted. And I know they were still involved in going to the weekend. But like every one of these things, every one of these games actually does matter. Maybe not to move on, but they matter.
Yeah. You just said it, 10-bid league. Make your case for the guys who are fighting. And you mentioned NC State earlier.
NC State, Notre Dame. I think regardless of what Notre Dame and I, who am I to give my opinion on these things? But you go 15-15 in our conference, you are no doubt.
Sure.
ACC team. I'm sorry, NCAA team.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I think I would make arguments that really 13 wins in our conference should get you in, assuming that you have taken care of business in your non-conference.
I think I saw earlier. This might be just a hair off. I think 78% all time teams that go 500 or better in the ACC make the regional. It seems kind of low.
It seems way that number should be 100%. If you told me 78% of 13 win teams get in, I would say that's a better number.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, I'm not arguing with it. That to me seems.
And I might have misremembered it. I think that's what I heard.
I think again, I know there could be some years. There could be some years where somebody's just losing all their non-conference and winning all the. You could have a funky year like that, but I think 15 is a no doubt in. Stiff's done a great. That his staff, they're unbelievable. team's really good, man. They're really good.
Well, they brought back a lot.
They brought back a lot. They're a veteran club, and if you put that team in, they're gonna have a chance to go to Omaha for sure.
Yeah. Well, and that's the case with the committee when you talk about NC State being left out last year with 36 RPI and
that was a crime.
Ole Miss getting in.
With all due respect, and I know Ole Miss won it. And again,
and that should be independent. My point is that I think should be an independent observation to whether or not NC State made it. Right?
Absolutely. I believe Ole Miss should have been in.
Yeah.
And I believe NC State should have been in.
Exactly. Because who's to say this is not the basketball tournament, right? Who's to say NC State gets that spot that they don't make a run and at least get to Omaha? And I mean, it's
for sure. And I will tell you, this NC State team, they are scary. I mean, I would not be surprised if they win this whole thing here this weekend. I would not be surprised if they end up in Omaha. I really believe you look at their RPI, you look at their body of work. This is a no doubt super regional Omaha caliber team. And Chris and Elliott and that whole group. And I hope the committee realizes that. And I hope, and again, I think when you look at our league, you're talking about, I mean, Louisville and Florida State don't make this tournament. Those are elite programs.
They played the championship in 2017.
And they were top 10 rankings, each of them at some point during the year.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to believe that, I think if you put Florida State or Louisville in the national tournament, you could see them getting through a regional and making it. I mean, that's how good this conference is. And I think, there were times in the past when we weren't as deep. But I mean, Pitt's unbelievable. Notre Dame's unbelievable. Louisville, and then you look at the top of this league, the battle. We got the number one team in the country here. I do believe it's a 10-bid league, and I think the SEC is great too. I don't want to make it us versus the SEC.
Yeah, well, I think the whole point to a conversation like this is both can be true.
Both can be true.
Both can be true. Why not? You can speak well of ACC baseball without disparaging it and caping up for the SEC and vice versa.
For sure.
There's not enough of that, honestly.
No, there isn't. And I think teams that play in the ACC and the SEC, there's a respect for both leagues and a respect for what we in both these conferences grind through the regular season. Yeah. It's just different. And again, that's not disparaging on other conferences at all. But like both of these, it's just an absolute meat grinder going through the season. But that's what makes it so fun. It's a super regional. It feels like a super regional every single weekend.
Yeah.
Which is so special, so fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. Elliott Avent, speaking once more to the depth of the league, told me earlier this year, top to bottom, deepest he's ever seen the ACC. And he mentioned you specifically in the job you guys have done at BC as part of that process, right? Because you've put that program in a position where, again, before there were years where it was top heavy, and then you had the other teams, right?
Yep.
And by wins and losses, Florida State was sort of that bottom of the league. Then it was pretty much everybody else, and then Wake Forest at the very top this year. So yeah, no, he gave credit where it's due, and you know my feelings about you. I believe it's due there as well. But,
I appreciate it, and Elliott's the best. I mean, you look at, just think about our conference, right? You got Elliott sitting there with 1,400.
Yeah,
I think it is. Danny Hall, Coach Hall is the active winningest head coach. I mean, the people,
statesman, if you will.
And just how many of these, I think Wake's going to end up in Omaha this year. The number of super regionals that Chris is taking his team to, and Eric's taking his team to Omaha at his old job.
Yeah.
But you talk about Elliott, but I'm pretty lucky to be able to sit in the room with those guys sometimes. Yeah. With that group of guys I get to sit in the room with is, when you talk about this league, it's, of all the really cool things in this league, that's one of the things that's awesome.
Yeah, an embarrassment of riches from my perspective, covering the league, talking to all of you guys on a regular basis. I mean, look, I do a lot of sports, a lot of different leagues.
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere, man. It's the best group of coaches. You guys are great to media. You're open and upfront about things. You give us plenty in terms of trying to tell the ACC baseball story and get it out there, because that's what Danny and I are trying to do with this this show.
It is. It is a pretty cool group, and we got guys like Dan McDonald and Brian and Danny. We talked about kind of leading the group, and Elliot. You have those guys that have been there and done that over a long amount of long number of years. But there's also we all want to beat each other.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a
fun
mutual
it's a
respect.
Fun, but there's also this.
Has.
We all got together the night before our ACC meetings last year and just talked about what can we do, continue to build and grow this league. I mean, it's a really special group. I'm really I can't tell you how fortunate I am to be included, with that other group of coaches in this league.
Yeah. Let's talk about your team a little bit. I've seen a healthy dose of them, including that historic sweep at North Carolina, which is a very good team that's up on another very good team, Virginia, right now, as we say that. You have talked a lot about, I know early in the season when you guys first began this run, when we talked a lot about sort of the nature of coaching a team in the Northeast. And you spoke to turning some things that might be perceived as disadvantages into advantages. Mm-hmm. And going back to the 2-out hitting, I just think it speaks to the overall philosophy, ethos is the word I used earlier, of your team. How have they grown even more since then, since that run now? I mean, you got to feel good about it.
You got to feel great about it. And I mean, talk about that weekend and to lead into this question, I think we had won, I want to say our first 7 or 8 weekends, and then we get swept by Louisville.
Yeah.
And then I think right after that was Duke. I think Duke came in and took 2 out of 3 from us. And this is how this league is so good. You're riding high, thinking, and I kept saying to the boys, hey man, we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
We all of a sudden we're in the top 10, and I'm like, just head down and worry about what you're doing. Because if you don't, you're gonna pick your head up and say, what just happened? And then you did. And then you go to North Carolina, and then we end up sweeping them. And that's this league. If the whole year you looked at this league and you're like, everybody is one series sweep or one series win away from, other than Wake, who started to run away with it a little bit there, maybe week 5, 6, whatever. Everybody else is you could be in 2nd or 10th like that.
Yeah.
Which is, again, going back to what I said before, it's playoff baseball, man. It's super regional every weekend. And then how has the team grown? I think when people look at our schedule and saying 5 weeks on the road, 20 games, 20 odd games, give or take, on the road to start the year, and how hard our schedule was as a disadvantage. But when we got to that point in the year right before Carolina, when it was all right, boys, how are you going to respond? They did, and responded in a big way at North Carolina, and then continue to watch them, the way they handled and knowing and realizing that that you got to just kind of figure out what it is, what is the task at hand, right? Who's coming in the next weekend? Let's figure out a way to win this series. Let's figure out a way to continue and finish strong, because that start is great and it beats you up. But is that something that you allow to then say, hey, we're tired and beat up at the end of the year? Or look at how much strength we've gained physically, mentally, emotionally as a group to be able to carry us through that part of the season, like I just said we had, when all of a sudden, man, we're 1 in whatever, with the sweep, we went 1 in 4 in our last, or 1 in 5 in our last 6, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and that it speaks a ton to our staff, what Saul and Vance and Tyler and Will have done, but I think the leadership of this group, Vince Amini, Peter Burns, Henry Leak, and then the other guys those are our captains, but the other group of guys that are leading without the proverbial C on their chest, with Johnny West, Flinney, Barry Walsh, I think an unsung hero of this team, who dealt with an injury last year and rehabbed back and just hadn't been able to get his body really, really fully healthy after a back surgery, was Parker Landwehr. Yeah. This guy, if you see what Parker Landwehr does every day, he continues to work hard. I think he's going to be back to being a middle of the order bat next year. But if you watch the leadership he's given all year, it's really pretty special. So it's top to bottom. Every one of these guys just tell you, I'll do whatever I need to do to help this team win.
Yeah. Chris Pollard earlier in the year told me about his team because he's got some guys who are like Division III grad transfers. He said there's a level of gratitude with guys like that, and I'm making this comparison because you have some similar types of guys. So when you get to this level and you get on this run, I mean, again, you've got guys who went from playing Division III baseball, Mike, to playing a game at Fenway not that long ago. I mean, like, those are pinch me moments, right? And you hope that a guy who's 22, 23, I guess occasionally you get a 24-year-old in there. You hope that a young guy that is around that age can fully appreciate the moment. And when I was talking to Chris about his team, he mentioned that, and you don't hear this a lot, that gratitude was a big part of their success this year. How would you work that?
So it's funny you say that. That is actually one of our core principles in our program, and it actually goes back to it's a core principle in the Jesuit tradition.
Yeah.
One of St. Ignatius. This is a paraphrased quote, not an actual quote, but one of St. Ignatius's quotes was, "Lack of gratitude is the greatest of all sins," and being grateful every day for what it is we're doing, I think it can shape. It shapes. When you see everything through the lens of gratitude, it shapes your thoughts on everything and your reactions, and it can sometimes shape how you respond to things. That's one thing. The other thing is feeding off of what Chris said. This was just post game with Andrew Roman, closes the game out the other day, and he's looking around, and the crowd here was loud, even for the 11 o'clock game. There was a pretty decent crowd here, and the atmosphere was great, and I kind of gave him a hug, whatever, and he looked at me and he looked around and he goes, "This is insane." I love
that.
It was awesome, man.
That's cool.
It was awesome. And I know that Flinny's excited to get the ball here tomorrow and pitch in the spot. And, you talk about pitching at Fenway and, in a weird twist of fate with Flinny, he was scheduled to pitch at Fenway, and then we had the weather, and that's it's a perfect example, one of gratitude, but also of the way this ball club reacts. Because you get told on Thursday night that there's rain coming and you're not going to pitch at Fenway. As much as we love our ballpark, pitching at our ballpark's a little different than pitching at America's favorite ballpark. So I said, "Hey, man, this is what we're doing." And he's like, "Awesome, man. I'm so happy for Johnny. Really cool. I got you, coach. Like, I got the first one. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good." And I kind of said to him, I'm like, "Hey, I know this sucks. Can I say that on live podcast?"
Of course you can. Come on.
I said, "I know this kind of sucks." And he goes, "No, it doesn't matter. I just want to win the series." He knew we were trying to lock up get ourselves we thought we were pretty locked in, but lock ourselves into a regional, get ourselves in a position to host. He just said, "Don't think twice. Like, I got it. We're good." Yeah. And I'm happy for Johnny. It's pretty special.
Yeah, that's cool when you can get some guys to rally behind each other in those ways, for sure. Let's talk about the weekend at Fenway. Obviously, weather affected this time around, but it's become an annual tradition, ALS awareness game. What does having that as part of your stamp on this program sort of mean that it's something that you can carry out and continue to do?
That's not my stamp on the program.
Right,
that's Pete Frady's. That's part of Pete's stamp on the program, and it's part of Sam Kennedy with the Red Sox. And Sam, when this came up a couple years ago with the idea, and right off the bat, he was all in on it, and has made a comment that is, as long as he has a say, and the schedules work out, we'll continue to do that. So, the first reason, we can talk about how special that is for all the boys.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a lifetime memory. But most importantly, it is a fan base. It is two fan bases with another program coming in. It is the college baseball world, hopefully keeping an eye and talking about the mission and talking about ALS and a disease that 10 years ago, 12 years ago now, for the most part, when people mentioned the disease ALS, there was kind of a like, what is that? Is it? I know it's bad. And nobody really knew. Is it Lou Gehrig's disease, right?
Yeah.
And now, as soon as you say ALS, everybody knows exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And that was the first step. Pete's mission: raise awareness, raise funds, so we can end this disease. And Pete always said, and it's amazing. What Major League Baseball has done, getting behind it and having Lou Gehrig's Day, an ALS Day around the league. What Commissioner Manfred has done to get Major League Baseball behind this, and you see it continuing on. I mean, unfortunately, you have superstars in the industry like Sarah Lang that gets affected by it, and we want to get to the point where we're talking about ALS like polio. That's the goal.
Yep.
And because of what Pete, as part of that group, not Pete by himself, but what Pete was able to start this conversation changing, we are way down the road, way farther down the road than where we were pre-Ice Bucket Challenge. And that's the thing that's so special. Like I said, I can't wait till they're making such great progress. I can't wait to the part when we say, all right, we don't need an ALS game anymore. Can we still play at Fenway?
Yeah. And what a cool thing, too, that it's become this rotating thing where you guys play a different team every year. So you talk about the experience for the guys. If you play 4 years in the ACC or however many years that you play, there's a chance that you could do that. So that's in addition to all of the much more important things that you laid out, it's a cool added bonus and way to sort of elevate the awareness on that and the league and everything. For sure.
And I also think it's part of what makes BC so special in this conference. In a conference that has some cool places to go.
Yeah.
And some different. You got some college towns like Blacksburg and Clemson. Right? You have, a town like Raleigh-Durham.
2 towns. I got to correct you. As a resident,
okay,
you're going to get crushed for it if I don't.
2 towns, Raleigh and Durham. I apologize.
By the way, Raleigh-Durham, you mentioned Raleigh-Durham as a place to go, and people will be like, what are you doing at the airport? What are you going to do there?
I stand corrected. All these years in the league, I guess I gotta.
That's on Elliot. How's he not giving you down the road?
Right.
Or Chris. I mean, geez,
exactly. Okay, so Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Tallahassee, right? Also,
yeah.
And then you got a cool, you have Pittsburgh that you can go to, and I think in Boston, which I think is one of the, personally, I think it's the greatest city in the country. I think it's we call it a town because of the feel in it, but Boston's such a great town. So kids around the league, families around the league, fans around the league, get a chance to come visit Boston and potentially play at Fenway. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. You mentioned the sites. We are at Durham Bulls Athletic Park, a pretty cool site in and of itself. I was watching, you guys have the Bird Ball series that's up on YouTube. Is that anywhere else?
Yeah, it's on Nesson.
Nesson, okay. I thought so, but I didn't want to misspeak. I've been watching it on YouTube to keep up, and I saw a guy you mentioned earlier, Eric Schroeder. I think he was the one that in the latest edition of Bird Ball admitted that he'd never seen Bull Durham. You got to rectify that. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Unfortunately, that's a touch of an epidemic in college baseball right now. There's a lot more. Now, you got to remember, I mean, that movie was made before they were born.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, 89, I think, when it came out?
But it is, yes, we got to fix that. It might have to be mandatory. I mean, a lot of them, I mean, some of them, major league quotes they might not get. Bull Durham quotes they might not get. I think most, Field of Dream quotes, some of them might not. Those movies are old. I hate to say it. It's time. I mean, we need. I guess it's Hollywood. We need some more baseball movies, man.
We do. We need more good quality baseball movies.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Maybe a good college baseball movie.
Pat,
you would be really good in that.
I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna get to work on it. I'll be the you can work it in the script to get somebody calling the games, right?
I mean, you got to have a bigger part than that. I mean,
yeah, you think so?
I'm not good looking enough to be in a movie, but you are.
Let Maybe I'll write the script. I'll see what I can do. I'll get a spec script going. We'll make this happen. An Omaha.
I'm in.
The setting is Omaha College World Series. We'll get BC in there.
I like that. I like the sound of that story.
You like that, right? All right. Well, so no matter what happens this weekend, the old park is just a couple blocks away.
We practiced there yesterday, and that's the.
So now they got to see the movie. That's where it was. That's where it was made.
Exactly. For all of us that love and can quote that entire movie, every time I walk into that park, I'm like, this is pretty cool.
How cool is that, right?
Really, really cool.
You talk about the guys and his players and his younger men. Some of these things are still pretty awesome. You have pinch me moments all the time, right? It's
one of those ridiculous things you think about that, like, our job as working in college baseball, it can be hard on your family sometimes. It can be hard on your wife, for sure. I mean, what we ask our wives to do, all of us. I mean, we got these pinch me moments, and a lot of our wives at home, having to take care of the kids for a week without our help, which sometimes might make their lives easier, they might say. But so it can be, there are a lot of pluses and minuses. But we're so lucky to be able to do what we do and have these ridiculous pinch me moments, like you said, all the time, and to be able to be around these boys. I mean, one of the things I feel so lucky about is the group of kids I'm around every day, the group of young men, not just this group, every year. They're such an awesome group. So to be able to have a small part in these boys' lives, and then to be able to go to Fenway and this ballpark and the old DAP, and and think of how ridiculous it is. I mean, we basically wear a costume to work every day.
Yeah. That's it.
Standing out there in a costume. I mean, people dress up like that for Halloween and stuff, and that's what we have to wear to work. Wear a costume. That's silly.
All right, I got to mention, speaking of old classic baseball movies, and I'll let you go after this one, we got to get an update on Marla the Pooch.
Marla Pooch she's doing okay. She continues to get bigger. I think she's up to like 160, which is a runt.
Yeah.
The
dog of the Gambino household, named for
Marla Hooch, named after Marla Hooch in A League of Their Own.
Yep.
One of my father's favorite movies. My kids have not seen that movie yet. My son is 7, my daughter's 6, so they're not quite ready for some of the moments in that movie. But yes, Marla Hooch is becoming somewhat famous because of your podcast.
Because of me,
because of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, he comes and goes. I'm the straw that stirs the show.
You're carrying them. We all know it.
Yeah.
We all know it.
So yeah, no, I'm happy to make Marla a piece of the Mike Gambino story.
She's awesome, and she'll be great. She's just a touch massive, or a touch low energy. She spends most of her time sleeping and laying around.
Okay. But you're glad for moments like that, because otherwise, kind of high maintenance, right?
She can be a touch high maintenance. She can be a touch.
I learned. Okay, I'm going to tell this story. I learned of Marla Pooch before the first time we recorded, when Roddy was with me, and you had just been from a road trip. I don't remember what.
Yeah, we came off. Yeah, we come off when we got home late, and I had to get her medicine.
Yeah,
I had to get to the vet. Get to the vet because. What Marla Pooch? We got to get Marla Pooch her medicine. It's not right. I mean,
it was a whole thing. It was a thing. The whole thing when we were.
I think it actually started because you said, "Oh, great weekend. What do you do coming off a weekend like that?" Is kind of how it started. Like,
and you were like, "I'm exhausted. I've been taking care of the dog since I got back.
I get the medicine. That's what I'm doing."
Excellent stuff, man. Appreciate the time, especially on an off day, dude. I got love for you. Appreciate you,
and thank you for everything you're doing. This is great. This is awesome.
So
much better without Danny.
We'll end it on that. Coach Mike Gambino from Boston College. Best of luck tomorrow and the rest of the way.